Are you an idiot? Well, you're in good company. There are about 8 billion idiots on this planet, and that number grows every day. Don't be the guy or gal that says, "I'm not an idiot," because that makes you the biggest idiot of all. We all have our moments of brilliance and our moments of idiocy. Embrace it, folks. Don't be ashamed. Without those idiot moments, we would never be able to appreciate our brilliance. Welcome to I Love My Idiot, a podcast about the idiots we love, the idiots we loathe, and the idiots we can't seem to avoid. You can follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Visit our website at ilovemyidiot.com.
Welcome to another episode of I Love My Idiot.
I'm your equal host, Clyde November.
And I'm Rosie November.
And we've got a lot to talk about today, and I'm just going to dive right into it.
No. Why would you get to dive right into it?
Because I got a lot to say.
Who the heck do you think you are?
I think I'm equal host. And if I want to dive, I need to dive.
No, you're not going to dive
All right.
because I have stuff to talk about.
Wait. So you get a dive?
Yeah. I get to dive right in.
All right. What do you want to talk about?
So, I want to talk about Halloween.
What about it?
Well, last episode was the Halloween episode.
Yeah.
Halloween is over now.
Yeah.
And what did I tell you about Halloween?
I don't remember.
I told you I did not want to dress up for Halloween.
Yeah.
What did you and little Rosie do?
Whatever we did, it was in the right, clearly.
No. Okay, you take little Rosie shopping and you say, "Pick out a costume for mommy, little Rosie." And then, next thing you know, I'm trick-or-treating as a freaking unicorn.
You rocked the unicorn costume.
Listen, I told you I did not want to participate in Halloween. I was going to pass out candy, not be a unicorn walking around little Rosie.
Little Rosie the giraffe looked adorable walking around with Big Rosie the unicorn. So
I don't know. I'm just saying, if a person says they don't want to participate in Halloween, you should respect those boundaries, you know?
I don't believe in boundaries.
Clearly.
I thought you knew this about me.
Clearly.
Okay, well, I'm sorry, but I'm not sorry, okay? Because we don't apologize on this podcast.
Oh,
That's one of our rules.
That is one of our rules.
We
But
set that
since
rule.
when have you
Hold on.
ever stuck to the rules of the podcast?
We set that rule when we started episode 1. We said, what are the guidelines for this podcast?
We had 3 main rules to the podcast. Number 1, we never apologize. If we say shit on the podcast that's offensive, that's fine.
Yeah, don't be sensitive, people.
No, the podcast
everything we say
for fun.
is about being funny.
Yeah.
Right? So if your feelings get hurt for the sake of comedy, you're welcome.
We've done our jobs.
Yeah.
Second rule of the podcast. Shit's ready when I sit in the seat to record the podcast. Now, Clyde has officially made it to 19 episodes never having stuff ready by the time I sit down to record with him the podcast.
I don't think you understand how demanding it is to run this studio. Okay? We haven't paid Andrew, so he stopped showing up weeks ago.
Dude.
So I'm trying to figure this shit out. And it's freaking hard, okay? Andrew, I'm sorry. Come back.
We're really sorry. Like, we know that the foot rub wasn't all that you had hoped it would be.
I'm sorry,
We
Mom's
need
hands
you
are weak.
back.
They were stronger when she was young. I'm sure of it.
Yeah. I hope that someday he returns because this podcast is suffering as a result of him being gone.
Andrew, if you're out there listening,
and we know you are because we see you watching.
I would like to apologize, but I won't because that breaks rule number 1.
That's right. That would break rule number 1. Now, what is the third and final and probably most important rule of the podcast?
I have no freaking clue because you never ran these rules by me, really. Well, you ran the apology one by me, and then you just kind of made up the other one once Andrew was gone.
The third rule of the podcast is that we always deliver on Sundays. And we have almost always kept that rule.
Except when we were moving and our studio was packed.
Yeah.
which I'm pretty sure we lost 97% of our fan base on that weekend, right?
Pretty sure.
Including my sister Claudia, who sent me like death threats because I ruined her Sunday tradition.
That's right. We have people who are counting on us on Sundays.
It's a lot of pressure, people. And I want you to keep in mind that I also have a full-time job. So just be patient.
Me too. And also keep in mind that everything on the podcast is probably made up or not true or exaggerated.
Except for stuff we say about Claudia.
Those are all true.
Everything is true.
Speaking of Claudia, we're really excited because she's actually here. You're on the episode, Claudia.
Yay!
Welcome.
I came back for more. I'm
That's
glutton
right.
for punishment.
You love the podcast.
Well, it is November, and Novembers get together. In the
right.
month of November. I mean, it is our
Yeah.
month. November madness.
It is, it's kind of interesting being married to a November because he thinks the whole month is dedicated to your family.
It isn't?
It is dedicated to our family. That's why we have Thanksgiving in November.
That's right.
I
Because we're
see.
so thankful, and so is the rest of the world for the Novembers.
Yeah. Everyone gets together with their own family and celebrates, wishing that they could be Novembers.
Yeah.
That's what Thanksgiving's all about.
I know before I was a November, I was just sitting around dreaming like, oh, I hope someday I get to be with the Novembers for Thanksgiving.
And
Dreams do come true.
that's not a lie because, once she laid eyes on this hunk,
OMG.
she
Just stop talking.
just
Yeah.
started fantasizing.
Just stop right now.
Yeah. He also presented himself in a way that was inaccurate.
Everybody does that.
he like made himself look like the best thing since sliced bread, and I believed it. I don't know.
Well, you were comparing him to that guy that dated the fridge. Like,
Yeah.
hello.
I mean,
I can't remember his
That's
name,
true.
but I remember the story.
His name's Phil.
his name's Phil.
With a small head
Yeah, exactly.
in more than
Yeah.
one way. What? Who said that? I don't even know the guy, so don't listen to me.
She's just heard the stories because Claudia's one of my best friends,
How dare you?
And they are epic stories. Well, I would like to say that I think it's normal for people to overhype themselves when they're dating.
Unless you're Rosie. I told you who I was. You saw
Flaws and all,
Yeah,
huh?
flaws and all up front, like take it or leave it, and you took.
Oh, yeah, I took.
In fact, early on in our marriage, when we got in a few arguments, our first ones, those cute ones where you're learning how
When
to
it's
fight.
still fun and cute that you're fighting.
And you
So
end
now-
it right with a hug, and you're like, "Can you believe we got in our first fight? Oh my gosh, it was so cute."
You almost do it for fun just because
Yeah.
it leads to that makeup sex.
just to see,
Yeah.
Now our fights are like, "You're sleeping downstairs. I don't know what's wrong with you, but get out of my face." But that's times change. You evolve. This is what happens. Anyhow, I remember one of our first fights, me actually coming to your face and being like, I never hid that from you. Like, you're like, it's weird that you do XYZ. And I was like, listen, I did XYZ every minute of every day that I've ever known you. So I've never hid that from you. I won that fight.
You win every fight. Because if I win a fight, there's no makeup sex.
Oh my
So,
gosh.
sorry, Claudia.
I know this is certainly awkward. Please, I've been around you guys enough. I know what's going on.
You know how animalistic it gets in the November
Yeah.
house?
I just feel bad that you're staying here and you actually have to share a wall with us.
I know. And I do have to say it's a little traumatizing being in your house. It's kind of surreal because, this is where my parents were. And
Yeah.
like you said on the podcast, and it's totally true. Your bed is exactly where my parents' bed was.
Yeah.
And this room that we're in, the other bed is right up against that wall. And that's the way it was when we were kids. And I can recall specifically hearing my parents. So,
Oh my gosh.
but speaking of that, I do
Wait.
want to
Be a little more specific. Hearing your parents do what?
Oh my gosh.
They were doing it.
Interesting. And were you old enough to understand why the bed was squeaking?
Even when I came back to the house after I went to college and I was like in my 20s, that would happen. And
Oh
it
my
was like,
gosh.
this is so creepy. Please let it stop.
Yeah. So when you were in your 20s, they were in their what, like 50s?
Yeah, let's see. Yeah, well, they were like less than 50. I think Dad was 25 when I was born. I think.
So 45-ish?
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
dude, they were still doing it up until like 10 years ago, though, because I happened to live here at one time when we were in transition. We were living here, and I went to go to the bathroom, and their door like was cracked like a teeny tiny bit.
Yeah.
And I saw some things I wish I hadn't.
You're like, why?
And I heard some things like, oh, Carl. And I was like, oh my gosh. And I like beelined it back to our room. And I told you, I'm like, your parents are doing it right now. And Clyde was like, no freaking way. Like, how is Dad still active?
He doesn't believe you.
I was kind of proud of the guy because he was in his late 60s. But growing up in the November house, there's some house rules that you learn quickly, and no one tells you the house rules. You just learn them.
Oh, I learned it.
Rule number 1, if the door is cracked, you don't peek through the door.
That's right.
My parents may be Mennonites, but they were not...
close the door type of people. Or they're just in such a hurry that they do that quick little swipe of the door and it doesn't close all the way.
And when you've got 5 kids roaming around, you might want to get locks on the door, people.
When I was little, I want to say I was probably 8. We were here in this house and there were only 3 of us kids at that time. And if we woke up on Saturday mornings, we could go downstairs and watch cartoons as long as we didn't wake my parents up. So we'd sneak down there and we'd watch cartoons. Well, this one day we're down there watching cartoons and we decide we're ready for breakfast. So I come upstairs and Mom and Dad's door was fully shut.
Oh, all the way shut.
All the way shut. And I opened it and walked in and saw like the most horrendous things. And it was like, what are you doing to my mother?
Oh my God.
And then I just hurried and ran out and I ran downstairs and I just started bawling. And I told my little brother,
gosh.
I'm like, Mom and Dad are having sex, you know?
Oh
we
my
were like
gosh.
crying and holding each other. We didn't really fully understand what was happening. So
Oh
then
my
fast
gosh.
forward about, I don't know, half hour or something like that. Mom and Dad come downstairs. I'm mortified. I don't want to look at them.
Yeah.
Because I've seen, and they were fully engaged in everything.
Wow.
So there was nothing left to the imagination, basically. So anyways, Dad walks right up to me and he looks at me and he says, if our door is closed, do not come in because I'm not embarrassed, but you'll be embarrassed.
Oh my gosh.
And I was like, okay. I was mortified.
Yeah, well, at least that was like a young version of Mom and
Yes.
Dad
Yeah.
going at it.
It was young.
So-
I was only 8.
Consider yourself blessed.
Yeah,
That's
when
all I gotta say.
was in my senior year of high school, I used to do this thing where I would sneak out the back door in the middle of the night and go hang out with my friends on
How
the golf
dare you.
course. Yeah, I know you did the same.
I did. I taught you all the tricks.
I know, you showed me which stairs were like the squeaky ones, so I knew which ones to step over on my way down. It's really nice having a big sister like Claudia.
You're welcome.
Anyways, so sneaking back into the house, the problem is for some reason it's noisier to walk up the stairs than it is down the stairs. I don't know why. However, anytime I snuck out, when I came back in, I just slept on the couch. And then when Mom would ask me about it in the morning, I'd say, my room was hot, or I'd give some lame excuse, and then I'd just be on the couch. Well, this one day, Mom was going to some church camp and it's like 5 a.m. and one of her church friends is about to pick her up and Dad's getting ready for work. He's eating cereal and they're being loud enough, like just talking and kind of like I can hear the spoon scraping the bottom of the bowl. So it wakes me up and I'm laying there and I'm thinking like, oh my gosh, let me sleep. Be quiet, people. And all of a sudden, there's kind of this weird, awkward, like, pause, and Dad's like, so,
bow, chicka, bow, bow.
he's like, so
Oh
you're,
my gosh.
Bow,
have a great week at church camp. And she's like, I will, Carl.
Just like the Mennonites do.
Yeah. And then all of a sudden there's this weird commotion and I'm just sitting here listening. Like I'm on the family room couch, so I can't see, but I can listen. And I like this commotion happens. And at first I couldn't place it. I was like,
are they doing dishes?
Yeah, I was like, what is this?
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden I hear Mom start moaning, and she's like, "Oh, Carl." And Dad.
Oh, Carl. Gross.
I think that's what she says, like, as she orgasms.
That's her thing. Oh,
Nasty.
you're kind to think my dad makes my mom orgasm.
Exactly right.
There's no foreplay. Like,
well, apparently not. It's just like, have some cereal,
yeah.
get it on.
But the best part,
go to church camp. Another day in the life of the Novembers.
The best part was that Dad was instantly out of breath. Like 3 seconds in, he starts breathing like he's having an asthma attack.
Well, Dad does that, like, even if he's...
Oh, Carl. And I'm sorry for the oral visual I've just given everyone.
If you do it again, I will throw a microphone at you.
Like, yeah.
Like, we
this
can't.
is so disgusting.
No. This is not the worst part. Like,
oh my
it's
gosh.
one thing if you just hear this happening. I had this scary moment where I was thinking, okay, they're getting their freak on the kitchen table, which has got to be uncomfortable for people that are in their late 60s.
Oh my gosh.
They're about to move to the couch, and I'm on the freaking couch.
Gosh.
Thank goodness my dad's like a 3-second man because it was over fast. So
That was brutal, Clyde.
that was brutal. It was one of the worst moments of my childhood.
You want to hear one of the most...
listening to the story was brutal.
One of the most embarrassing things that happened to me had to do with Mom and Dad. I had a slumber party, and Dad used to come home every day and he would like grab Mom everywhere. Like, you know, he definitely would fill her up quite a bit.
Kind of like I do.
Kind of like with you and Rosie. I wonder where you get it. Oh my gosh. It's a November Mel thing, I think.
Yeah.
But anyways, so I had all these friends over. Anyways, we saw it happen so much that we didn't even think anything of it. So then I came upstairs with my friends and we were all talking, and my friend was like, "Oh my gosh, did you see what your dad did to your mom?" And I'm like, "No."
Is this like a new friend?
No, she'd been over, but apparently she had never seen my dad groping my mom.
Oh my
She'd
god.
never
It
seen
was
him
just
cop
like,
a feel.
oh my gosh, that's so embarrassing. So I was explaining to her, "Oh, my parents do that all the time." And then she's just looking at me like, "Well, what's wrong with you?" You know,
Yeah.
like something's wrong with your family, basically.
Oh my gosh.
You know, I'm not going to argue that something's wrong with our family, but maybe
No.
that's not the one thing.
We're normal.
Yeah.
We're normal people.
I don't know.
I use that in quotes.
Yeah, I don't
Quote,
know.
unquote, normal.
So I've never seen this activity. Is this something that your dad just stopped doing over time?
Maybe
or?
he doesn't grope. Well, now he gropes you.
I know. He's moved on to fresh meat.
My dad does get frisky with the sister-in-laws. It's really creepy and weird.
It is creepy and weird. In fact, last Thanksgiving, Claudia walked by and just grabbed my ass, and I didn't even flinch. And you're like, "Oh my god, my dad has damaged you."
I know. I was like trying to get a reaction from
Yeah.
you. You didn't even blink. Like you just kept cooking.
Yeah.
And I'm like, "Hello!" Like I just totally violated you.
I stopped flinching when a November groped me years ago. That's all I gotta
it's
say.
kind of a running joke. So maybe it has to do with a certain age group or something, because he really did used to do that with my mom a lot.
Really?
So, yeah.
Maybe you just have to be like in your 30s, and
Yeah.
that's the perfect groping
That
time.
must be the
for
time.
November, yeah.
But it's really funny because, like, my sister and I, that's a non-issue for us. So it's just the sister-in-laws.
Yeah.
Like, lucky you.
Well, and you've actually talked about how one of your favorite episodes of the I Love My Idiot podcast, which can be heard on any platform, by the way.
Oh my gosh.
Thank you for the plug, Clyde.
Yeah.
You're welcome. You've mentioned that
That's
one of
what
your
she said.
favorite... Hey, rule number 4, we don't do "that's what she said" jokes on the podcast.
Darn it! Well, I think they're funny.
Yeah, but they're
We should
overdone.
really start writing down these
I know.
rules.
We're going to forget.
We're gonna paint. We need to paint one of these walls in our studio. That like paint where you can write on it, and just start writing down the rules.
You
of the
have
podcast.
this no apology rule, and you spend like 15 minutes of the podcast apologizing to me.
I know.
So I think it's funny. But anyways, go ahead.
We break
Clyde.
the rules.
We sometimes
all the time.
break our own rules.
I'm just trying to say your rules mean nothing to
we
me.
would like
Yeah,
our
they're more of
guests
guidelines.
to adhere to the rules, though. So I can break
If you
the
want
rules.
the pleasure of having my voice, like I'll do what I want.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not sure pleasure is the word I would use, but
Well.
It's so funny because you actually broke the mold on the apology rule. So once it was broken with you,
I know.
It really did become less of a rule and more of a guideline.
I know.
So.
yeah, you're
Oh, I thought of
slowly-
another rule. We don't do poop conversations on the podcast.
Anymore.
which is another rule that we've broken many times.
Yeah, I don't like it when Clyde talks about poop. So
Rosie thinks we're too classy for poop.
we are too classy for poop. We have very classy listeners who think that we are ladies and gentlemen talking to ladies and gentlemen.
You must be talking
So-
about Lynette. Lynette, we know you're out there. We are classy. Keep listening.
Yes.
We love you.
And you know what, Lynette? You stay classy.
Keep it classy.
Anyways, what I was going to say before we went off on this huge tangent.
Sorry.
Claudia.
Sorry.
Gosh.
Claudia. Yeah, let me control my podcast, Claudia.
Yeah, like last time he was trying to like
I know,
muzzle me.
and you're
it's
doing it again.
impossible.
Shush.
Okay, I will. I
My
will.
goodness.
I promised
Okay.
this time.
Claudia had said that her favorite episode, or at least like one that's in her top 3, because let's be honest, you're vain. I bet your favorites are the ones you're on.
Guilty as charged.
So she said one of her favorites is the episode about adoption.
Oh yeah, I love that one.
And so when I asked her why, she said it's because Rosie's dad is just so sweet.
He is.
The way he
I know,
talks
he
about
is.
Rosie.
I have the best dad, you have to admit.
And then she
Well, this
said,
just got awkward.
Do you think your
Yeah.
dad is the best
Did we
dad?
not just admit
What
that
about
he gropes
Carl
you
November?
constantly? Like, what more
Yeah.
do you want?
You
Like,
don't get that from your own dad. Come on.
Come on. The groping and should do it
The
enough.
Yeah.
weird, like, shoulder squeeze that somehow turns into a boob
You
graze.
know, you know, I should be your favorite. Let me talk to you about
yeah.
dams.
Yeah. So Claudia said, I just can't imagine how cool that would be to have a dad that was like verbally okay saying, I love you. Right? Because we never question if our parents love us.
No, they love us.
But we've sure never heard them say it.
No, of course not. That would be awkward and weird.
That would be against November family rules. So
I come from a family who always says they love each other.
Yeah.
Even me and my brother, Seamus, every time we talk, we say we love each other.
yeah, Claudia and I don't
I'm
do
like,
that.
anyways, what?
That would feel weird. With your brother?
Yeah, well, this is also
Ew.
weird. I still kiss my mom and dad on the lips.
Tongue or no?
Thinking it, but I didn't dare ask it. That's hilarious.
Because you're in November and you're disgusting, you would think yes, but it's definitely a no. Like, it's a hard no. But we're kind of just a family that my grandparents kissed on the lips, my parents kissed on the lips, we kiss on the lips. It's weird. We don't kiss like our siblings, but yeah, definitely my mom and dad when I see them.
No, I get
they
it.
get a kiss on the
because
lips.
I've been, initiated into your family, and they kiss
So
me on
you've
the
kissed
lips.
her dad on the lips?
Yeah, both
with
mom
tongue?
and dad with tongue though, so that's why I was confused.
My dad is going to be appalled
I know.
if he
We're
hears
just
you
teasing.
say that.
Of
He's
course.
gonna stop listening. Sorry,
He's gonna be like,
Dad.
he's gonna call you tomorrow
This
after
is
he
why
listens. Yeah.
nothing intimate happens with the Novembers, because anytime
Yeah.
it feels like touchy-feely, we get really awkward and weird.
And you
That's
make
right.
jokes and
Yeah.
you make it seem funny.
Yeah,
That's right.
Because
So-
that's how you cope with real life.
that is how we do it. Any emotions, let the sarcasm come.
Your mom actually told me the other day that she loved me.
Whoa.
Creepy.
Yeah,
Wait,
I know.
Did you throw up a little in your mouth? Just kidding.
You got an I love you before I did?
Yeah.
How dare you?
I haven't
She's
heard
straight
that
up.
since I was 4 years old.
I was going to say, it has been officially 40 years since my mother told me she
Yeah.
loves me.
Yeah.
3 decades for me.
It's okay. I really don't need, I don't want to hear it.
Yeah.
All I'm saying is I think it sort of slipped, but I'll still take it because I said, you know what, Mom, I really love you.
You're like,
And
come
she's
on.
like,
Come on. You can say it.
Like, please, just once.
and she said, I love you too.
Wow.
And she even said, you're a good daughter-in-law.
That must have validated a lot for you. Like all this work you've been doing
I
in
know.
the November
it
family
only took me
finally paid off.
13 years.
When
Well,
am I going to get mine? Like,
congratulations.
I'm 47.
Yeah, you haven't done
Hello?
shit for our family.
How about all the free babysitting I did as a kid, you know?
That's true.
I practically raised you.
Although she's making up for it now because she does a shit ton of free babysitting for us.
Yeah, that's
so-
true. My mom's getting it on the back end.
Yeah. And they aren't even her kids, so she doesn't have to like love them as much and
Right.
stuff, you know?
So not to change the subject,
Oh.
but Claudia once dated a homeless guy.
I can't believe you're going to talk about this. Are we really talking about this?
I don't know. It seems relevant.
Oh, shit.
That was the craziest transition I've ever heard.
It seemed right in the moment.
Well,
Claudia-
yes, Clyde. Thank you for asking in such a smooth way.
So I've never heard this story. Are you for reals? You dated a homeless man? Now I
well,
have to
dated
know.
is a strong word. Okay, like I didn't get married until I was 37, and the longest boyfriend I ever had was 4 months. So you go through a lot of dating. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm not just talking about a few, right?
Right.
So
Okay, how many of those did you put out with, though?
I cannot confirm or deny, and I
Blink.
wouldn't
You give
even
me,
know where to
like-
Blink
start.
twice if it's over 30.
I wouldn't know.
If you've had more men than years you're alive right now,
Oh my
blink
gosh.
twice.
Could you at least like give us a percentage or?
I will not. So, yeah. So I went through a lot of online dating, basically. So this one guy, and I mean, I never even met this guy face to face, but he was somebody that I thought, okay, there's some potential there. And on his profile, shut up, I didn't know.
You thought there was potential with a homeless guy. That's awesome.
I did not know.
This
Okay,
says a lot about you and your kindness towards the planet.
That says something about the kind of guys I attract, but whatever. So, his profile said, blah, blah, blah. I lived on Mission Beach, blah, blah, blah. And so I was like, oh, he lived in a house on the beach.
Yeah,
How cool is that? And I'm thinking he's got money.
sure.
You know, this sounds promising, right?
Like near the Hamptons or something.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So we chat enough times that he decides to call me, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so one of the first things I asked him is like, oh, so you had a house on the beach? And he's like, what? What are you talking about? And I'm like, well, you said you lived on Mission Beach. And he's like, yeah, I lived on Mission Beach.
Oh my gosh.
And I was like, wait, what? I'm like, do you mean like homeless? And he's like, yes. And then he goes, and then I said, okay, well, then it also said that you lived in such and such canyon. And he goes, yeah, I did live in the canyon. And I'm like, oh. And he's like, did you know that in that canyon, you can be at a campsite for 14 days and they can't kick you out? So if you move from campsite to campsite, you can spend a whole summer just camping. And I was like, what the hell? And then he was like kind of aggressively trying to get to know me better. And I'm like, no, I'm not having it.
Dude, what's he doing? Going to a public library
I know.
to internet date?
Exactly. Well, by this point, so I asked him, do you live in a home right now? Because like, you never think that's something you specifically have to ask somebody.
Oh,
like,
but
do you have a house?
But you're thinking like, this is a guy who's been through stuff and maybe he's brought himself together.
Exactly. And he said, so he was living in like a travel trailer at that point. And then he said, but any woman I'm with needs to know, I will not turn the air on. I was like,
you're like, perfect. My dad never turned the air on growing up.
I know. And then at that point, I was like, okay, we got to disengage. Like, he was weird. So breaking up with him was just a little tricky. But I did break that off. But, if you're out there doing online dating, like you get to the point where you can break up with people pretty easy.
Mm-hmm.
I'll tell you guys one of my favorite breakup stories, though. So I had this boyfriend. This was not an online boyfriend. This was another kind of boyfriend, like a regular boyfriend, whatever you want to call it. And he, so we had been dating for quite a while, and he lived out of state, and then he moved into the town that I was living in. So I felt like things were getting really serious. Well, so I play poker a lot, and I was in a poker league at that time. And so I had won a free gift certificate to Applebee's. And so I was like, I'm going to take him to Applebee's, and we're going to have this really nice fancy date,
Sounds romantic.
I know.
Yeah.
Nothing says love like Applebee's.
Right.
So I take him to Applebee's. I use the gift certificate, and then we get back to my house, and then he's like, I think we need to break up. And I was pissed because I'm like, and I said to him, I'm like, you seriously just had me use my gift certificate that I won on you, and you knew you were going to break up with me. And he's like, yeah. And I'm like, you're a dick.
Oh my gosh.
So then anyways, he kept saying, I hope we can be friends. Can we be friends? And I was like, no. And then I just started lashing out at him. So by the time we got through the breakup, he was in tears. And
yeah,
I think he thought he was going to make me cry, but I got him to cry. So
didn't you say he pulled out his wallet and tried to reimburse you for the gift certificate?
I was like, get out. I don't want your money.
Get out of here.
No, I was vicious with him. So anyways, what can I say? I've kissed a few frogs.
Yeah. Well, somehow, despite your weird escapades, you ended up with Roy.
I know.
And we love Roy.
Yeah,
Roy's
the
a
best.
fairly normal guy.
He is.
Perhaps the most normal human we've had on the podcast, actually.
Yeah,
In some
exactly.
ways. I mean, I'm sure he's got some oddities to
I mean,
him. But
other than his obsession with walnuts, the guy's solid.
and
you
camo.
know.
Like, I don't
yeah.
get the camo.
It's the redneck in him.
Oh, yeah. He's even got camo Uggs or whatever those are. Crocs, yeah.
Yeah, he does. Well, the funny thing with Roy, so I dated so many jerks, like so many. And so I think I just got into this pattern of like really liking jerks, right?
Yeah.
And so Roy kept trying to ask me out. We met online and I kept saying no. I turned him down for about 6 months. Mainly because he's a pretty quiet guy and he was kind of shy, especially at first, kind of the way Clyde is, I would imagine.
Mm-hmm.
And I kept going out with like these real assholes. And it was like, what am I doing?
Yeah.
You know? So at one point there was a guy another guy that I was seeing online kind of, who figured out where I was working and I never told him where I worked.
Wow.
And so he sent flowers and chocolates and stuff like that to my work. And then flowers ended up on my doorstep and I never told him where I lived. And so I was terrified because I lived in a town by myself. I had moved away from my family and stuff. And so I was single, living by myself, and some weirdo knew where I lived. And that night, Roy called me and he was like, he could tell I was really freaked out. And so I told him what was going on. And he's like, well, let me just stay on the phone with you. And I just had this epiphany during that it was like, why am I giving all of these jerks the time of day? And then here's this really nice guy that I won't go out with. This is ridiculous. And so then I shut down all of my accounts, mainly because that guy freaked me out so bad. And
did he ever come back around or anything?
No, I told him off royally, and I broke everything off with him. And then he went on and like was writing all of this terrible stuff about me on this blog and stuff. And most of it was lies, and it was so weird.
Read this.
I know. It was weird.
The next episode will be all about the blog against
it was
Claudia.
like some women just can't appreciate love. And like on the flowers, he sent this weird note that was like, please open your heart to love and happiness and blah, blah. And I was like, we haven't even met face to face. Like, why are you using the L word? You guys know me enough to know I'm not even comfortable with that word. Like, with people I do love. Like, some weird
I know
guy.
you love me, but I've accepted that you will never say it straight to my
never
face.
happening.
So I just have to wait until you say it in a sentence not towards me, and I'm like, oh, she does love me.
That was directed toward me.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, the more you want it, the less I'm going to say it.
I know. It's true. It's true.
I know. So anyways, it was just so funny. And then when I finally went out with Roy, it was like, it just felt pretty comfortable. And he knew I was gun shy because of that other situation. So he didn't make any moves. He was very respectful. And then we didn't even kiss until our second date, which was a month later.
Now, you tell that story and paint it out like, oh, he's this gentleman. I hear that story and I'm like, he couldn't close the deal with Claudia? Are you kidding?
If you can't close it with her, who can you close it with?
Yeah.
Dude, I do have standards.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
You just can't tell by all my guys. Oh, I have to tell you guys the funniest. So I was dating a guy. I was probably like 18, 19 years old. So I was pretty young. So keep that in mind. And he told me, so we got into some kind of argument because he was having problems with his dad. And I was just like, you need to tell him off or something. And then he's like, no, you don't understand. I love my dad more than the president of the United States.
You're like, I hope so. You actually know your dad.
I know. I was just like, dude, that is the dumbest thing to say. And I told him, I said, everybody loves their dad more than the president of the United States. He's like, no, only me. I was like, no.
Oh my gosh.
Like, that doesn't even make sense. So then, it wasn't too long after that guy and I broke up.
Oh my gosh.
I'm just saying, I haven't always had the best luck.
No, you haven't. But let me tell you something. I have good luck.
Yes, you do.
Yeah.
Except for, I do recall you dating a girl and she came to play cards with our family and Dad had her in the bathroom crying by the end of that date.
That's true. Dude, if you can't handle game night with the Novembers, you're not going to make it in this family.
Game night is intense and we're all immune to it because Dad grew up super intense on game night and making us all cry. So it's just natural to us. By the time you're like 12, you have all these calluses.
But the first time I came to game night, your dad handed me the deck of cards and I just shuffled them and passed them like a pro. And he's like, you've played cards before. I was like, grew up with my grandma.
There you go.
He said,
and then he's like, you can marry my son.
He said, did you just do the bridge with that shuffle?
I sure did. I was like, Mr. November.
No wonder why he's groping you all the time.
You just wait till you can see all the things that I can do with this deck of cards.
Mystery solved.
Yeah. Stop being so impressive.
And then I like totally smushed him at Rummy, and he's like, all right, she's in.
Yeah. Well, that's not what happened with my first girlfriend.
Yeah.
My dad handed her the deck.
I actually want to hear it from Claudia's perspective. Claudia, what really happened the night of the tears?
Well, all I remember, so like Clyde said, she had the deck of cards. She was going to be shuffling and dealing. And then for some reason, Dad, like, I think she misdealt or something.
She started, well, first of all, she didn't know how to shuffle.
Right.
So she just cut
the
deck like 5 times.
Instead of like, intertwining the cards.
So Dad's automatically got his judgmental eyes. And
he can't take that stuff.
Yeah,
no.
And it's like, here's what's really funny.
You need to. It's the only time Dad's voice is deep. Hey, you need to take this seriously. Like, he does not mess around when you're playing
with your thumbs.
Those cards are not adequately.
And he holds you to a Las Vegas dealer standard.
It's true.
Yeah.
Like,
it's true.
He would tell you if you did that move in Vegas, someone would pull a gun and shoot you. Yeah, I started hearing this when I was 6 years old.
Exactly.
Like, game night was scary.
You have to have a thick skin to be in November.
Yeah,
and so
do.
I do feel bad for people that come into the November family because it's kind of like swimming with the sharks, you know?
Oh, totally.
And if you don't get it from one person, you're going to get it from another because we're very sarcastic and it can hurt sometimes. But anyways, so Dad like criticized her shuffling and he's like, come on, you know.
So that's when Dad cuts in and he says, well, I figured with all the strip poker you've probably played, you'd know how to deal some cards.
I do not agree with you.
No,
I do not think Dad said that.
He said that because for an entire drive home, because I did have to drive her home, she's like, how come your dad thinks I'm a slut?
You have the strip poker comment. You have the cards being shuffled incorrectly.
And then you have the girlfriend rolled up in a ball crying in the bathroom.
Yeah, well...
She just got up from the table and was just crying and ran into the bathroom. And then my dad started laughing like he thought he was trying to laugh it off. And we were all so mortified, but also the way the Novembers work, like you don't really confront somebody.
Yes, we all sat there in silence,
so it was
listening
like
to her
super
cry in the
awkward,
bathroom.
and it's like okay, and then Dad's like, "Oh, she's going to the bathroom," and we're all just kind of like,
you can hear in the bathroom.
It was like, I don't think so. So then on the ride home, by the time she came out,
she was in there for a good 15 minutes, and we all just sat at the card table waiting. And
awkwardly.
When she came out, she said, I think it's about that time I go home.
You're like, yeah, you've made us all very uncomfortable.
So I drove her
It has
home.
nothing to do with my dad. My dad is fine. You, slutty strip poker girl, need to watch the way you shuffle.
You can't even shuffle a deck.
You better practice shuffling before you come over the next time.
Yeah, so I had to drive her home, and she was not happy.
Yeah.
She was crying.
I wonder why. Hello, if my boyfriend's dad called me a slut and like talked about strip poker and criticized my shuffling, like I'd be upset too.
Yeah. But then the thing that she was really upset about was that I never went into the bathroom to get her. Now,
awkward. Why would you?
Keep in mind that I was in high school at this time,
Yeah.
right? And
your parents didn't know you'd already lost your virginity to her.
Dude,
well, and
not cool.
Clyde, we all know that.
I like people to think I was a virgin.
Actually, when Clyde...
Dude, why'd you bring this up?
No, your audience needs to hear this. When Clyde moved in with me and my sister... I had bought a house and Clyde and my sister were renting from
And
me.
that's all the time we have for this week, folks. Thanks for tuning in.
This is happening. Clyde did not put sheets on his bed. So he just slept on this mattress for the longest time. And I'm telling you, it was like black. It was disgusting. And I was always like, Clyde, put some sheets on your bed.
I was going through a goth phase, all right? I wanted a black mattress.
So this one day, my sister and I come home, and I'm like, something's happening in this house. Like, spidey senses are up. Mm-hmm. I can tell something's up. And so I go walking towards Clyde's room, and I open the door, and he has this look on his face, and he's covered in sweat and everything, and I'm like, something's up. Well, so I knew he had his girlfriend there, and they were probably doing it. And he was acting
awkward.
Well, it's true. And he was acting so skittish and weird. And so I told my sister, Clyde left, and then I told my sister, I'm like, you know what was happening, right? Well,
yeah.
She's naive, so she didn't know.
Did the girl what? Did she climb out the window?
She did.
Yeah,
as soon as I
happened?
left, I ran to the back fence, ran to my window, opened it, and I was like, "Out! Let's go!" I don't
Yeah,
think they
and
know.
let's not mention that Clyde's dog, Gomer, who was totally untrained, was humping her leg like crazy the whole way she was
got
in the
humped
backyard.
twice that day. That was the horniest dog ever.
But the whole time I'm just thinking, how can Clyde get a girl on this bed? Like, that girl has got to be the sluttiest strip poker player.
Exactly. You can't even shuffle a freaking deck of cards.
It's like, she probably doesn't even know how to shuffle. No, but it's just like, how do you get somebody on that? That's so disgusting. Like, if some guy tried to get me on that, like, the first thing I look for, do you have sheets? Okay, we're good to go. Let's do it.
Honestly, if I even knew about this story, I would have never dated Clyde because A, I'm a germaphobe.
Oh, you would have
and
hated it.
B, like sheets have to be super clean. In fact, you gave us for our wedding a very nice gift to a really nice hotel in town that actually does these like fantasy rooms where you can like hang from the ceiling and do weird stuff there. It's actually called the Anniversary something or other. And so I was like, okay, thanks. And then later you find out that I'm like horrified about hotels.
I didn't know.
Yeah.
Well, it was so funny because one time Roy and I did go to that hotel and we got this room called the Presidential Suite.
Ooh, yeah.
Ooh. So anyways, it's got this big area rug with the golden eagle on it like they have in the Oval Office. So they have a guest book that you sign when you go to the room. And so we open it and the last entry, it says, we shared a magical moment on the rug. And I'm like, that's disgusting.
I am not walking on that rug.
So we always walked around the rug and then we just joked around about it the whole time. It's like, hey, you want to have a magical moment on the rug?
Here's the thing. I wouldn't even be able to walk around the rug. I would have literally made Clyde roll the rug up, put it in a closet that I was never going to open. Yeah, I've gotten a lot better because I have to travel a lot for work now, and I'm forced to stay in hotels. But every time I get to a hotel, the first thing I do is take off that top nasty whatever quilt or whatever they have. Yeah. I break it down to the things I know get washed every time. And if I find even one hair, I ask for new sheets and a new blanket. I don't want somebody else's hair in a sheet that I'm going to rest in.
Yeah. No, I agree with you on that.
I have standards, Clyde.
Yeah.
So I'm really glad I didn't know you when you were the sheetless wonder.
Yeah. I had to go through a lot of, character development to get ready for you. Rosie, you did mention that you travel for work a lot.
Yeah.
Nature of your job being like the businesswoman that you are. And nature of my job, I don't travel a lot because I have 34 fifth grade students that I'm accountable for every single day. However, I did get to travel my first time for work.
Woohoo!
Yeah.
And I went to Salt Lake City.
You know it.
I did not see Claudia while I was there because I was too busy with my conference.
Rude.
However, the highlight of the conference actually came last night. And it's something I'm kind of surprised that neither one of you has mentioned. Because I'm wearing eyeliner right now, people.
Yeah.
I was trying to avoid it.
I've got makeup on.
I actually haven't looked at you directly until I know it's going to be washed off because it makes me uncomfortable.
It's kind of like the mattress. You just want to pretend it never happened.
I would really like to not see your face right now.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. Guns N' Roses was in Salt Lake City. And there were a couple avid Guns N' Roses fans that are on my staff that were like, we got to go. Every single one of them is about 10 years older than me. So then when I said, I want to go, they looked at me and they said, what would you know about Guns N' Roses? And you know what? I know a lot about Guns N' Roses.
Well, of course, it's her favorite band all time. Before that
I'm that age group.
Axl Rose, is that his name?
Didn't you say he's like your number one?
Well, he was right up there.
What do you mean was? Come on.
You texted me a picture of him. And what did I say in the text?
Okay, I sent you a picture of him, and I said, remember when you thought this was hot?
And then what did I say? I said, I just lost my boner.
With a barf face.
Yeah. But I didn't get that text because I'm having phone issues, so...
Is it because of your flip phone? I mean, what's the deal?
I don't have a flip phone.
Clyde, you need to get to the newest century.
When did you get rid of your flip phone? Tell us the year.
Let's be
because
real.
I think it was within the past year.
No.
When was it?
It was about 3 years ago.
You had a flip phone for a long time.
Well, yeah. I'm
too long.
Yeah.
You know what?
I had a smartphone way before you.
Yeah, because you're a businesswoman. What did I need a smartphone for? I'm a teacher,
Yeah.
right?
He actually got his first smartphone after little Rosie was born. So it's
and she's only 4.
Yeah, it's been within the last 3 years, I think.
Yeah.
That's the thing is there were only a handful of people who still had flip phones They're called grandparents.
Or children.
And Clyde.
Well, and like, I remember I would send you pictures and I'm like, oh, this is funny. And I'd send it to you. And then you're like trying on your flip phone to like view it. And it's just this tiny little thumbnail and you can't expand it and look at the picture. It was like, oh my gosh.
And I kept telling you, I can't receive GIFs.
I know.
Or GIFs, whatever they
That's
are.
how I communicate.
Yeah.
So
everything is a meme to Claudia.
it really put a damper on our
I
relationship
know.
for a while.
I almost lost a friendship over
It's
it.
true. You finally had to give in and get a smartphone.
I know.
And now you got one and it's a piece of garbage and it's not working.
That's right. So I've been waiting to tell you
Yeah.
about the songs you missed out, because here's the thing: you live in Salt Lake City or near Salt Lake City. You could have gone to that concert.
Well, if somebody would have invited me, I totally would have been there.
Yeah.
Well,
Hello, Clyde.
I'm sorry. I didn't think about it, all right?
I know. That's fine.
All right, so you want to guess what their encore was?
Well, I know it couldn't have been November Rain because that would take like an hour and a half. So I would say, well, I would hope that they would have played Sweet Child of Mine early in. So maybe it was like Paradise City or something
Dang,
like that.
you are good.
Dang! The girl knows her band.
Yes.
Heyo.
They got to hook you with something.
Oh, yeah.
you know.
Paradise City was the encore. You're right. They did play November Rain, which was nice of them because there was a November in the arena.
That's right. One of our favorite songs,
That's
people.
our family song.
Yeah.
November Rain, you know?
November Rain, REIGN, Rain. Get it? November's Rain.
Oh, yes.
Dude,
Every
we
November
gotta end
does
this
believe
whole episode.
that.
What the hell was that? We don't do puns. That's rule number 7.
Dude, there's too many rules in here.
I know.
I think we established last time I am a rule breaker.
That's true. So, Claudia, I actually want to put you on the spot really quick.
Okay.
I would like you to pick what our idiot spotlight is going to be for today.
I'm going to say, I'm trying to think of the best way to say this, like Dungeons and Dragons nerds.
Oh,
Like,
yes.
You guys.
Whoa. I do not play role-playing games.
You
Yeah.
guys have, okay, I heard today a discussion about some app that you guys play. And then you have this chat going on the side, and you guys were talking about who's going to be the president of your little dork club. And then I'm like, what the heck?
We're getting ready to go into full election of who's going to be
Yeah.
our leader of our
There's
alliance.
an election coming up, and Rosie was trying to
This is
talk
what
me
I'm talking
into
about.
running for president.
Yeah, it's really important to me that Clyde gets the leadership this time because then we
The
have
king
power
of the dorks.
over the alliance.
Speaking of November Rain.
And that makes you the queen, right? You want to be the queen.
Yes, I would like to be the queen of the alliance.
Of all the dorks, and you are the leader.
Hey,
Good job.
These are our virtual
These
friends.
are
You
our-
watch your mouth.
so
what
yeah.
does that mean, a virtual friend? Like, are they real friends
They're-
or are they
They're real friends.
like my online dating guys?
may
Are they
exist.
homeless?
Well, there was
Do they own a van?
There was-
We actually don't know these people
Yeah.
in real
Oh,
life.
see,
Like
that's
they
what I'm
very
saying.
well could be playing from the
They're
library.
like, I play on Mission Beach.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In fact, one of our guys is from where is he? Like Korea or something? Like-
Singapore.
Singapore, and he said that like
He said his name was Amber forever. And so we thought
he was a girl.
she.
Yeah.
And then randomly he's like, "Hey, I'm on this app. You can come like see what I actually look like." And we all went.
It's like this
And-
dude holding a fish.
Yeah, he's like a professional fisherman from Singapore. He's holding this like 100-pound
like, wow.
tuna or something.
Amber doesn't translate
Yeah.
the
I
way
know.
he thinks.
It actually,
or
for
something.
him, it was like Amber Warrior, but it's like he said his favorite color was amber, and so that's why he did it.
Yeah.
I see.
So it was like a color thing, you know. But
And we said,
to
in
us-
America, Amber
Yeah.
is a female name.
Well, and like, okay, so the word warrior also, I would use that very loosely for what you guys are talking about.
No, the
Yeah.
guy is a warrior. You
Yes.
should see his score against the
Listen.
Titan.
Oh my gosh,
I know.
dorks.
yeah, and honestly, he's got one of the most powerful teams on
Wow.
in our entire alliance. And he's also our record keeper. So he keeps track of who's hit, when they've hit, how hard they hit.
Maybe he should be the leader of the
colors
Doors.
No, we call him the
ruler.
secretary.
He's the secretary.
Oh.
He doesn't want leadership, which is fine. But
Okay. Like, the
Okay,
fact that this is this
here's-
serious is just hilarious to me. I'm sorry, guys. But that is, like, to me, what you should be talking about in the idiot spotlight.
well, you're making so you're
So it's a
dedicating
thing.
the
Here it
idiot
is.
spotlight to people who play in virtual worlds online.
Yeah. With, like, fantasy characters of,
Yeah.
The Hobbit or whatever. I don't know.
here's the thing.
That game you guys play.
Yeah, here's the
Fantasy
thing.
characters.
Here's the
Who's your
thing.
best character, Rosie?
I don't want to talk about it anymore. But here's the thing. Clyde and I are secret gamers. Okay?
Okay.
We don't like to portray it in our real lives because we know people like you don't understand. But
I make you feel
Clyde
the shame.
and I have really busy, really important lives where we take care of children and we go to work and all this stuff. But then at nighttime after the
This
kids
is
go
like
to
an
bed,
escape kind of thing.
yes, we used to play StarCraft, which is like a really old game.
Uh-huh.
And then we moved on to playing with other humans online, this other game. And so it's, yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Well,
just-
I
it's
got
sort
a
of like a
question then.
secret thing.
If it's not real life,
Yeah.
how come today when I was snooping in your
I
house,
just snorted on the podcast.
I opened Clyde's closet and found a sword? Like, what the freak, Clyde? Why do you have a
All
sword?
right. First
Do
of
you
all,
think you are a warrior?
First of all,
He is a warrior. He's a war veteran.
yeah, I served in a war.
OMG.
right.
I'm pretty sure they didn't issue you a sword.
They didn't. I had to buy that with my own money. Thanks a lot,
You
military.
actually have 2 swords.
Yeah,
And you have a
first
pirate
of all-
dagger.
yeah.
Oh, I'm
first
sorry.
Of all,
I didn't know the difference between a sword and a pirate dagger.
Don't-
How dare I? Apparently, I do not understand nerd language.
Claudia, don't you ever look in my closet again, all right?
Yeah.
Because there's going to be stuff in there that you can't handle.
Ooh.
Like,
Now I want to go look. I mean, that was just me opening it and glancing in. Like, I can only imagine if I really dove in there.
And
Yeah.
definitely don't go into my closet.
Whoa.
oh yeah, you don't want to see what kind of sword she's got in her closet. It's a different kind of sword.
Oh, boy.
We had a coupon.
It was a buy one get one. You know.
Oh, boy.
So look, I have a samurai sword. I also have another sword.
I'm sorry. The fact that you say that with such a straight face is killing me. I'm sorry.
I'm surprised you don't know this because I bought the samurai sword when I was living with you.
No, I did not know that you were smuggling swords into my house.
I tried
You were
to keep my
smuggling
lifestyle
your
hidden
girlfriend
from you.
in there.
I know.
You had your dog Gomer running around, humping people's legs.
Chewing on the side of the house.
Do you remember when he tripped you when you were walking him and sprained your arm?
Yes.
He was humping your leg so hard.
That dog was an idiot.
Anyways, I digress. Go ahead.
Yeah. So, yes, I do have swords. Because here's the thing. If someone ever breaks into my house, I
Oh
could...
my gosh.
No. Listen, this is
You're like,
serious.
just a minute. I got to get to my closet on the top shelf.
Don't tell him where it goes.
I have a sword. Give me a moment.
Claudia, you
Put your gun down. Let me go get my sword.
you just compromised the security of my entire family by revealing where I hide the sword.
You're going to have to find a new hiding
I
place.
am, okay? Yes, it was
Oh my gosh.
on the top shelf of the closet. I will find a new place.
I have
But-
to agree a little bit with Claudia, though, because I've only actually gotten to see the sword one time, and I tried to touch
You don't pull it out?
No. I
No.
tried to touch it, and he was like, fingerprints cannot be on the blade
Yeah.
of the sword. And then he said something about the oils of my hand
You know
could,
what?
like, make damage to the sword. So I have never been allowed to see or touch the sword since.
When that robber is breaking in our house and I round the corner with my perfectly shiny sword, I want him to see the moonlight coming from the window to gleam off the sword.
Somebody's been watching too much Kill
before
Bill.
I slice into him. All right?
I'm really excited for when this actually happens because you're going to see that there's not only my fingerprints, but all of our children because while you were gone.
Dude, did you play with my sword while I was gone?
Little Rex was like, hey, Mom. I was like, hey, what? He's like, can we do something like really bad? And I was like, I don't know. What is it? This kind of sounds exciting. He's like, well, Dad would, oh no, we shouldn't. Dad would be so mad. And I was like,
you're like, let's do it.
Now I really want to do it.
This is not
Little
right.
Rex. Let's talk about this. What are we going to do? Like, yeah, sounds great. Dad left us for a week. I mean, let's do it. He's like, I really want to touch the sword. And so I took the sword down. I thought it was just going to be like me and a Little Rex moment, you know? But then all of the children come in.
It's like a magnet. You pull out something shiny that's off limits, kids are going to
Don't worry.
swarm.
I made sure that we were all very careful. Not a single person got cut by the sword, but every single one of them got to see it.
And touch the blade,
And
apparently.
touch it. Not like the sharp part, but just like the metal part of it. We tried to clean it up, but I know that you'll be able to see the human oils or whatever.
I'm going to have to go through a whole process to
Yeah.
get that thing right again. And I'll tell you what, I would like to get revenge on that, but the next time you go out of town, I'm sure as hell not showing the kids your sword in your closet.
You're like, here,
Yeah.
I'll show you something.
And I would like to
put
keep
your oils on it,
your
son.
disgusting sheetless fingers that have germs off of my sword.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, somehow this whole episode went way off the rails, which always seems to happen when Claudia comes and joins us.
You're welcome, people.
You know what, though? Our audience learned that we're sort of also a little bit geeky.
We are well-rounded people.
We are. We have layers.
That's right.
I have something that I wanted to tell you too that was pretty funny after the last time I was on. It was actually when you had Roy on the podcast. You made some comment about, I can't even remember what it was, but it was like basically your measuring stick for an idiot is me or something.
That's the moon landing. The moon landing for the measuring stick of idiocy is dating Claudia.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
So anyways, that episode, I listened to it. I thought it was really cute and I thought it was sweet because, of course, I'm a little biased, but that's my husband and stuff.
Sure.
So anyways, that night, Roy comes home and he's like, oh, did you call Clyde? Are you and Clyde in a fight? And I'm like, for what? And he's like, you didn't like demand another apology? And I'm like, no. And he's like, I don't get it. Like, you were so upset before. Why now? And I said, because he was talking about me farting. Like, he can say anything else. Like, I expect it.
Yeah.
It didn't even register. Like, I know you were ripping on me, but it was like, yeah, like that's like a Monday to me. I mean, that doesn't mean anything. Anyways, I just thought it was pretty funny because it does show how thick of a skin you have to have to be a November. Like,
oh, yeah.
You just can't let this kind of stuff phase you, basically. But
no.
It's
but
true.
if it's personal or as personal as a fart,
oh, that's where
we
you cross
got
a line.
problems.
I think we've
Especially
well
a
established
made-up
that.
fart, right? A falsely blamed fart. I guess that's a better way to say it.
I don't even think it's about the fart as much as it is about the fact that Novembers, if you're not being honest, you guys do not put up with that at all.
That's true.
If anybody lies to a November, you do not forgive that transgression.
No.
So the fact that Clyde not only blamed something on you, but lied about it straight to your face for years, that is actually what is the most offensive.
Yeah, and then calling it out publicly. But I thought your picture was super cute in the mini skirt.
Yeah.
But I will
yes.
say that mini skirt was not short enough. And I'm really disappointed because Roy bought the mini skirt and we shipped it to you because for some reason you couldn't find a mini skirt. He went to Goodwill and found that mini skirt. We shipped it to you.
I have to disagree about the length of the mini skirt.
You didn't want it any shorter.
Because any shorter, you were going to see part of his hangy part.
And?
Yeah.
Like, hello.
They hang low and
Yeah.
Oh, yikes.
And he's...
I don't want to hear about your droopy issues.
So that's not even the part that's hanging. I was like, Clyde, I can see things happening.
That's hilarious.
You know, as a teacher, I do have to have
some
certain
standards.
amount
Yeah.
of public decorum, you know?
Yeah.
How does this podcast fit into that equation?
We don't know.
Those
Most
are-
people don't know about the podcast.
Yeah, this is like a deep, dark secret.
The few that know about it keep asking
like
for
the sword.
apologies. So we.
Yeah. We want a lot of people to listen. We just don't want
Yeah.
to know any of them because
Exactly.
we offend
You want all
everyone
of those
we know.
fans in Scotland to multiply.
You know
Yeah.
what? It's really funny because when we first started the podcast, we were offending family members mostly.
Right.
It's now reached layers where it was like family members and then, you know, really close friends.
Right.
And now we're into like
Strangers.
strangers.
Just random
Yeah.
strangers. Like that person that
Yeah.
was smoking wearing a glove. They're
Exactly.
totally offended.
The
Oh, yeah.
trolls are ready and they're out. And it's been, you know, you've made it in the podcast world when you have trolls.
Well,
Yes.
and you
Yeah.
have to, I think in any time you're dealing with something comedic, you're going to hurt people's
Yeah.
feelings.
Yeah.
I mean, to me, that's what makes it funny.
Mhm.
So who cares?
Dude, that's so nice of you to call our podcast funny.
Yeah.
Well, I'm mainly
Thanks.
talking about the episodes I was on.
Oh, yeah.
Because I think we established, like, yeah, I'm my number one fan.
That's
Yeah.
very true.
Someone
I mean,
else
yeah.
we've now offended is all homeless people.
Yeah.
They are like, what? You saying I'm not good enough for
Like,
love unless
what?
it's Claudia?
Yeah.
It's like, well, people
Oh
should
my
be more
gosh.
specific when they're asking where you live. Like, you know, if I say I live on Mission Beach, I think that's
Yeah.
pretty clear.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, that's
well, it
hilarious.
has been a really fun episode, Claudia. Thank you so much for joining us.
You're welcome. I had a great time. Thanks for letting me crash at your house.
As part of payment, we made you be on the podcast.
That's right.
Yeah.
No good deed goes unpunished around here.
That's right. Don't forget to listen to our podcast on any of your favorite platforms.
You can follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter.
And don't forget to tell an idiot that you love them.
I love you, Rosie.
I love you too, Clyde.
I love both of you.
I think that's the first time you've ever said I love you.
Oh my gosh.
it's
Right
Holy
into
cow.
Like I said, it's comedy. Whoa, I don't mean it.
Yes, but it hit us right in the heart.
Yeah, it
And
hit
we're
you somewhere.
overjoyed.
It felt good, but it felt weird. And for the last freaking time, Claudia,
I
you do not talk during the ending.
I'm sorry. That was my goal for this episode.
Yeah.
You guys need to make a rule for that too.
Yeah,
It is a rule. It's always been a rule that Clyde and I end our podcast.
Yeah, rule number.
Awkward.
This is going to be like the golden rule. The golden rule is that Claudia shuts the freak up when we're closing. You got it?
I think you're just gonna have to pull the plug on my mic.
Oh
Totally.
my gosh.
Okay, goodbye. I'm sorry.
All right. Thank you for joining us, listeners. We'll see you
Later.
on the flip side.
Heyo.
That sounded so dumb.
Goodbye.
I want my A.
So, not to change the subject,
Oh.
but Claudia once dated a homeless guy.